Hey folks, everything new under the sun. So you know that I have a Drobo unit. Drobo, what is the version of it? I don't know. It's the 4-bay Drobo. And I had a comment from someone about, it's just RAID 0, mirrored RAID, what's so special about that? Well, Drobo is not exactly RAID, it is beyond RAID. And so what's the difference there? What exactly is the difference between RAID and beyond RAID? And is it a safe way to back up your data? Let's take a look at that. So this is techrepublic.com, and I just want to take a look at some of the key points. The Drobo Elite uses beyond RAID to a high level of protection to the array. And to simplify overall storage administration. Find out how beyond RAID compares to RAID levels. So let's just take a look at it. What does this say here? Comparing RAID to beyond RAID, the traditional RAID has a couple of major limitations. All the drives in the array must be set to the same capacity. Okay, so if it's a 100 gig drive, you need to have 2 or more 100 gig drives. They have to be the same size. Desired protection level change requires a destroy and rebuild process. So like a mirrored RAID system, you have to completely destroy your setup, remove all your data, and reset everything up and pile all your data back on. So the desired protection level change requires a destroy and rebuild process. Let's say you have a RAID 5 disk set, and then you decide that additional protection, so you want to move to a RAID 6. With traditional RAID, your only option is to back up your data, destroy the whole thing, reconfigure it all, build a RAID 6 set, and then restore your data back on to the RAID array. So how is that different? Drobo's Beyond RAID technology, which relies on similar data protection processes as traditional RAID, helps to minimize the limitations. So Beyond RAID uses drives of any size. So you can have a 500 gig drive. You can have, I wonder if I can, let me see if I can bring this up. I'll just show you my, regardless, I have 4 drives in my Drobo, and I have a 500 gig. I don't know why, I can't show that to you. Anyways, yeah, I have 4 drives, 3 1 terabyte drives, and 1 500 gig drive. Regardless, let's, maybe I'll just cut that part out after. All right. So Beyond RAID technology, which relies on similar data protection processes as traditional RAID systems, helps minimize limitations. Use of drive of any size, so I have a 500 gig and 3 1 terabyte drives. Forget worrying about the drive order. You can just stick them in any order, and it knows what to do with them. It uses on-the-fly methods to change protection levels. Beyond RAID's single disk redundancy, so there is redundancy for a single disk. One disk can fail at a time. And on the newer units, there's dual disk redundancy, which you can turn on, so you can have 2 drives fail. With the click of the mouse, you can change your Beyond RAID protected system from 1 single to 2 dual drive protection, assuming that you have enough disk free space to make the change. Swap disks at any time, so you can pull out a drive at any time, unlike a RAID system, regular RAID system. Push in a new drive and it will reconfigure it. When a disk fails in a traditional RAID set, you replace it. If you need to expand the traditional RAID set, you replace the disks one at a time, do a rebuild each time, and eventually expand your volume. With Beyond RAID, you can replace any disk at any time and even replace smaller disks with bigger ones. While this process will still initiate a rebuild, depending on what size your disks you already have in Drobo, you may immediately gain access to newly added storage, so it's more real time. There are still some limitations to Drobo, it does say. Dual drive system gains no storage benefit, so you don't gain storage, which is common. Mixed size drives are supported, but still represent real-world challenges. In order to gain full protection offered by a single or dual drive redundancy, enough space needs to be available for protecting the array. In the case of systems with multiple drives of differing sizes, this means that the system has to be able to withstand the loss of the largest drive in the storage. And that all makes sense, obviously. And so it goes through here and it gives a demonstration of what's happening in the system. Regardless, though, I just want to share quickly about the difference. It's not a straight up RAID. It's similar logic involved, but the flexibility of it is much enhanced. and the redundancy is there. It is effectively, logically, if you pull it back out of it, it's like a mirrored system. You got one drive with your data here. You've got another drive here mirroring your data. So if you lose one, you still have one copy of your data. But it's a little bit different. So I do want to make that clarification. Should it be used as a complete backup system? You should never have one single copy of your data. And even trusting Drobo, it does have 2 copies of your data, but you're still relying on the single hardware unit. It's best to have 3 copies of all your data. So in addition to Drobo, you should always have an extra backup drive. I have a 3 terabyte USB backup drive that I use. So that is a little background there. I just want to cover it. Definitely check out this article. Read the whole thing and just get an understanding of what the difference is between the Drobo Beyond RAID system and the regular RAID system. It's far easier. It's much newer technology, obviously, much easier to deal with for the regular person, and it does provide some level of protection, and it's very easy protection. That's what I like about it. So I will leave it there, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.